is the voice of your host Mars Mandelo, from your online network platform, Moving News, also known as Vehicle News Network. A station dedicated to the Biafra struggle. We follow all updates and informations from most Biafra websites, blogs, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and other online media outlets. Today we will be bringing you updates from posts and comments of the day. Here is the news. First, we start with the news-making headlines. The All Biafra Conference ABC will begin tomorrow. According to the brokers presiding over the conference, the OEAS, information's reaching us is that the address of the Please take note. All Biafra Conference venue, Tribeca Hotel, Satsu, Agbon Street, East Legon, behind Ghana Link, Accra, Ghana. Hotel contact 030-254-3683 and +23330-254-3683. Please share. I repeat, All Biafra Conference venue, Tribeca Hotel, Satsu, Agbon Street, East Legon, behind Ghana Link, Accra, Ghana. Hotel contact 030-254-3683 and +23330-254-3683. Please share. Dr. Chukwuma Ijemba this afternoon wrote, ABC 2016. The countdown continues with hours to go. I am now in Accra and the delegations of OEAS have also arrived to put finishing touches to the opening events. Other delegates from Biafra land are also arriving. Many are on their way. I wish all safe journey to and from Accra. Watch this space for more information. God bless Biafra. In another news, update about the wrong attitudes of leaders and members of the Biafra struggle, which downplays the trust and obligations of some who are supposed to be followed. Emma, Ike, Agu, releases the phone numbers of IPOB Ltd/Radio Biafra operators. Barely 24 hours after Emma, Ike, Agu, the CEO of AGM, New York challenged Schmeffer and two others to an open debate, he followed it up by releasing their phone numbers. In a notice posted on his wall, Emma, Ike, Agu wrote, "Call Schmeffer 447916752059, Emma, Mezu, 447872515051, Clifford Iroania 301-455-0460 to debate Emma, Ike, Agu. If after 72 hours, there's no debate, I shall activate a movement to extradite Schmeffer, Emma Mezu, and Clifford Iroania to Nigeria. For I insist that our men and women out there in the streets, the actual heroes of Biafra struggle, are being fooled again after con man, Ralph, Howazir used them to become a billionaire. If your leaders say they are sincere, please call them to have an open debate with me. Also, that I said these three men are working day and night to see that Nnamdi Kanu remains in prison for a long time. If your leaders say otherwise, call them to have an open debate with me. Since they told you every Igbo leader works for Buhari, including me, do tell them to have a public debate with me. You have been told Emma, Ike, Agu, is a saboteur. Have them debate me openly to prove how the same man they once referred as highly professional became a sabo. Ask yourself a common sense question. If these men have nothing to hide, why won't they debate me either on Radio Biafra London or African FM World Service? These three men run both Radio Biafra London /IPOB Ltd. Since my cell phone number was given to you to call and harass me, I challenge every real Biafran to call them to meet me for an open debate. If you don't, then I will be forced to do the unexpected. Call Ushmefer with the number 00447916752059, Emma, Mezu, 00447872515051, Clifford Iroania 0013014550 to 460 to debate Emma, Ike, Agu. The time is ticking. Everyone is waiting to see if the three men will accept his demand to come on air and answer serious allegations and other issues many people raised against them. Now it has come to the attention of the Moving News Network that this is not the first of such misleading and unspeakable attitude from high officials, more especially those within the media. The act of lies, fraud, and other mismanagements should be one avoided at all cost in a search for freedom. The greatest means of management, coordination, and organization is the press. If the Biafra people should be of good conduct, both inward and outward, the tendency of achieving their due right will be within the margin of time. It is for the benefit of generations to come you are onto this fight, be rest assured, this your generation now being the foundation stone to be built upon, by the 2 to 3 more generations. Should not be concerned or influenced by personal pride. Believe me, many places around the world has gone through this same ordeal. It is only the wisest that conquers. We as a media is dedicated to give the Biafra people all supports to our disposal. Now to our speckle time, through your thought. Mike Icom Domilo wrote, "Let us commit to teaching our children the right things. It is important for every parent to teach their child or children the correct meaning of an uncle." So who is an uncle? According to English language, an uncle is the brother, brother-in-law, or half-brother of one's parent. A biological uncle is a second-degree male relative and shares 25% genetic overlap. That man that comes at 11 p.m. when the children have gone to bed and leaves at 5 a.m. before cock crow or after real cock crow, is not their uncle. Don't make the mistake of telling them he is their uncle. It's an incestuous lie. Tell them he is Mr. So-and-so. Mummy's friend. Imagine a child telling his father, "Daddy, Uncle Mike came in the afternoon when you went to work," and the sense man would ask, "Did he bring any news from the village?" Thinking it was his senior brother from the village, not knowing it was Mr. Michael from his own office. Let our children know that every adult male is not their uncle. Freightman, driver, teacher, neighbor, etc., should be addressed properly as Mr. XXX. Do not, because of pretense or lack of knowledge or a combination of both, put your child at risk. On a very serious note, this has capacity to give our children some measure of safety. But this does not mean that you should stop calling me Uncle Maiko, Maka Thunder Ayapush shirt. After all, Mama Peace once asked, "Are you a children?" This advice is applicable to children only, not for ancients like us. God bless. YouNow May 2016. Now to other post. This one from Rita, Eberekakuyu, Enigbagu. Her information warns, Bulari head of security Abdul Rahman Dambazu to receive ISIS boss. We are in trouble. We have been able to uncover the motive behind the botched visit of cleric and leader of ISIS, Ahmed al-Assir, to Nigeria. Sources said that Nigerian government, through Lawal Musa Dora, the DSS boss, directed the Nigerian ambassador to Lebanon to issue an express visa to the terrorist. Ahmed al-Assir was to be received by the head of Bulari's personal security Abdul Rahman Dambaza at the airport, then flown to Kano immediately. The ISIS leader was supposed to revive a defunct secret Sudanese consulate in Kano, for the purpose of making it the seat of ISIS in Nigeria. This secret Sudanese consulate was opened in April 1984 by Bulari when he was the head of state. Then a radical Sudanese was placed there instead of a Nigerian. The Islamic fundamentalist consular started promoting the idea of spreading Sharia in the country. Through this consul, many Houses/Fulani young men have been sent to Sudan for Arabization and Islamization. There they are exposed to different camps of Osama bin Laden. Ambassador Bola Dada, former diplomat in Sudan, once confirmed that Sunny Yerima and Sanusi Lamado Sanashu, who are now senator and emir respectively, are products of such radical Islamic teachings in Sudan. But President Jonathan put a stop to the illegal and dangerous activities of the consulate. The grand plan for the ISIS leader's visit was to formally perfect the admission of Boko Haram into ISIS, then make them stop attacking the north, but face Christians in the south in a bid to push home Sharia. Don't forget that a former United States envoy, Richard Grenell, warned against voting Bulari because of his connection with ISIS. But the man was called unprintable names for saying the truth. And this from Mazi Ifeanyi Eshafu by France Revolutionaries. Boko Haram kills 13. Takes over 5 Borno. COMM unites on May 25, 201610:55 Amin by Enda Imarama Maiduguri. At least 5 communities of Ladin Bhutan near Kaddamari village of Jare local government area of Borno state have been taken over and destroyed by suspected members of dreaded Boko Haram sect who were armed with AK-47 rifles and petrol bombs, including improvised explosive devices, IEDs. Sources said Jare Council headquarters is northeast and just about 7 km drive from Maiduguri, the state capital. This development is coming barely 3 days when 2 out of the 5 displaced emirs of Askara/Uba local government area returned to their domain after spending 2 years in Maiduguri due to Boko Haram attacks. The sect members, according to reliable security source and fleeing residents, invaded the communities around 7 p.m. on Tuesday and set ablaze many houses after killing 13 residents and injuring scores of others. Kaddamari village is an outskirt north and a stone throw community to Maiduguri metropolis which has suffered series of Boko Haram's attacks in the past. A policeman attached to Jare Division who did not want his name mentioned confirmed the deadly attack and destruction of houses in the communities. According to him, he was at his duty post when they received a distress call that Boko Haram sect had invaded the surrounding communities of Kaddamari. He said, "They were helpless as there were no reinforcement from the military to repel the night attack," pointing out that, until this morning, Wednesday, that the divisional police officer ordered his men to visit the areas. The police source revealed that after visiting the scene of the incident, the police recovered 13 dead bodies of residents with scores injured with bullet wounds and burns they sustained from the rampaging sect, adding that almost all the houses and structures in the affected communities were destroyed with any arrest. All effort to get confirmation from both police or military authorities proves abortive at press time. Details later. Come up next is economic advice to Eastern governors posted by Ndubaisai. On May 26, 2016. This is time to think outside the box. This is no time for conferences or seminars. You have no time for long proposals or signing of MOUs without financial commitment. The present economic situation in Nigeria calls for the application of common and village census. Let me remind you that about 89% of projected revenue for 2016 budget is expected from crude oil proceeds. The hostility ongoing in Niger Delta will come with severe negative consequences. There is no doubt that the hostility will be sustained for several reasons. The major reason being the glaring inequalities that have existed among the different classes in Nigeria for decades, most especially in the oil-producing communities, and the level of awareness already created in the social media. It is expected that the monthly revenue allocation to state government will nosedive in the subsequent months with dire consequences on salary payment with the dwindling revenue allocation from the powerful center, the state government are left with one option: internal generated revenue. Unfortunately, many states in the East depend on federal allocation for survival. The structure of revenue sharing gave so much power to the federal government. The task before us now is how to raise funds from the businesses within the state. This is where the problem lies. How many factors are producing in the entire 10-old eastern region, excluding oil-related companies? What do we do to inject money into the eastern economy? What do we do to put money into the hands of households? Gen Ajikuya was able to work with the people during the Biafra War. During the war, Ojukwu ran a closed economy depending on production and self-help for survival. We may face the same situation now, though in a different circumstances. How do we survive as a people without Abuja support should be bothering our 10 former Eastern governors right now. This is where simple economic model will be applied. We need to study the behavior of income, Y, savings, S, consumption, C, and investment, I. Put in equation form. Y equals S plus C plus I. I want you to know that about 10 million youths are jobless in all your states. Another 10 million youths under the age of 45 that work in private companies earn salaries not enough to take them home. Most workers in private companies receive monthly salaries less than N15,000. Let me give you the economic implication, S, of the above scenario to your state economy. Western states like Lagos and Ogun have invested wisely to increase their internal generated revenue, and this will induce consumption, savings, and investment. Y equals C, Y equals S, Y equals I. If you have 500,000 jobless youths in your state, the implication is that they earn zero income, which means zero consumption, zero savings, and zero investment. If workers are underpaid in your states, it means that they will close the month with zero savings and zero investment with limited consumption. When Y is zero, automatically C equals 0. The relationship between income and consumption is positive. When households are not earning income, of course they do not consume. Low consumption affects savings and investment. This picture comes with negative consequence on volume of company sales, profitability expansion, and hiring of labor. Right now, business is at standstill in the entire eastern region because of delay in budget implementation and dwindling revenue allocation. What do we do to put money back to circulation? The recommendation, S, below should be considered. 1. Each state in the East should automate the process of issuing land title document and reduce the process time to 2 weeks maximum. The cost of processing and issuing COFO and recertification should be reduced to less than N50,000. Lagos, Ogun, Abuja are all smiling to the banks because of efficiency recorded in processing title document, S. Banks in Nigeria are not playing their traditional role of market intermediation. This is why income is not evenly redistributed. However, state government can guarantee loan to cooperative societies and citizens with COFO with good business plan and well-defined value chain. Efficient management of land title document, S, will increase state revenue and force banks to lend money to the businesses within the states. This singular action will ensure circular flow of income within the state economy. 2. State government should select one microfinance bank from each local government in the state. Keep 50% of security vault monthly provision in the banks or any other fund. Instruct the microfinance banks to do cash-back lending to organized cooperative societies with value chain arrangement. Each local government will be trained to go into a specialized form of farming like snail value chain cooperative, fish value chain cooperative, cassava value chain cooperative, tomato value chain cooperative, igbo cow rearing value chain cooperative, etc. Injection of fund into this value chain with strict monitoring will put a lot of money back to the system, and households will commence normal consumptions, which comes with multipliers effects. I know that the governor of Anambra State has a fish value chain arrangement though has not been funded. All the primary schools and secondary schools including churches will be encouraged to key into the value chain arrangement to keep everybody busy. A state with surplus food productions will always pay salaries and have enough to fund infrastructural development. Note that economy is driven by households and small businesses. 3. Cut cost of running government. This is where I have issues with our politicians. Why should a governor be moving around with 15 vehicles at this period of economic recession? This is irrational behavior. There are so many political appointees that are not adding any value but just for political patronage. Any governor that wants to go for some tenure should get close to the people, to the communities through projects. You do not need to share money during election if you can get your state working. Governance is not about building roads or bridges but the number of people you can put smiles on their faces through policies. I will recommend that all these special assistant following governors' wives should be sent to manage farm settlement with defined targets. The game is changing now that there is no free money any place. 4. Each state should establish price control board and marketing board. We still operate mixed economy. Government should always intervene in the market forces for the purpose of stabilization and to discourage primitive accumulation. I know that Nigeria does not have reliable database to achieve effective monitoring of individual players in the economy, but the state governors can be proactive to achieve set desired results. I also know that the present political and economic structure of Nigeria do not encourage competition like the days of Okpala, when the Eastern economy was the fastest growing economy in the entire West Africa, but we can still manipulate the fiscal policies to attract our people home. Governors should try to narrow the communication gap that existed between the masses and those inside the government houses. A town hall meeting and biweekly media chat/phoning program with chief executives should be introduced by all the Eastern governors. I have a problem when government agencies want to maximize profit for every public service rendered, yet they impose heavy tax on the same poor masses. African leaders have not understood the core obligation of government, which is maximization of social welfare. Ojukwu was able to command followership even after the war because of his love for the common people. 5. State governments should be seen to be fighting corruption. This will start with public declaration of asset. I have never seen any state government fighting corruption. How many governors have declared their asset to the public? What is wrong with governors insisting that every public officer must issue open declaration of asset? There are some individuals that are richer than the state, yet they do not pay tax. Governors run their state as personal business, yet they hardly hesitate to inform you that there is no money to pay salaries or pay contractors. Primitive accumulation of wealth not needed is one of the major problems facing us in the eastern Nigeria. A governor that is not interested in fighting corruption will not have moral right to question the corrupt activities of his numerous appointees. We should begin to ask people in government how they make their money and to give account of their stewardship. The above recommendations are not exhaustive, but it is my conviction that if the above are implemented without political considerations, the masses will start breathing fresh air and will not hesitate to celebrate such governor even after 8 years in office. We are still Nigerians by citizenship but by France by indigenous identities and shall continue to participate in issues that affect our collective lives while still in Nigeria. The pursuit for Biafra is pursuit for equity, fairness, and justice. Nigeria has never given many of us in the eastern Nigeria justice. How many Nigerians have biometric national identity cards? Do we know our population sizes? It is not possible to plan when you do not know the number of people you would be planning for. It is only in Nigeria that somebody from Ghana can sneak into the country and obtain Nigeria international passport without encountering any difficulty. Many do not know that Nigeria leaders are afraid of the past and would not want the Nigeria system to work. This is why we Biafrans are in Federal High Court Owerri with Nigeria government, as we know that an economic policy that works in Ghana might not work in Nigeria because of what many will call Nigeria factor. To be continued. Enda Bisai is an economist with Biafra Voice International Channel 1 that is just for your knowledge. Okay. We continue. Now to politics. Buhari is getting 58.50 naira from every liter of petrol sold in Nigeria, says Fayos. Ekiti State Governor A.O. Fayos has rated President Muhammadu Buhari's first year in office. In a statement titled, Petrol Price Increment as Buhari's first-year anniversary gift to Nigerians, which he personally signed, the governor said, despite his electoral promise to reduce petrol pump price from the 87 naira per liter that he met it, President Muhammadu Buhari increased the price to 145 naira. With this increment, Buhari has further impoverished Nigerians. Nigerians should be reminded that on April 14, 2015, President Buhari's ally and former Minister of Petroleum and Energy, Professor Tam David West, told Nigerians that General Muhammad Buhari, who was then president-elect, will reduce the fuel pump price from 87 naira to 40 naira per liter. Buhari did not debunk this statement made by his friend and major supporter. Also, when the People's Democratic Party, PDP, government of Dr. Goodluck Jonathan reduced the petrol pump price from 97 naira to 87 naira per liter in January 2015, former Lagos State Governor, who is now Minister of Works, Power, and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, said 10 naira reduction of the petrol pump price was too low and that Nigerians will get a better deal under Buhari. Fashola tweeted on January 18, 2015, on PMS price reduction by 10 naira. Now they listen. Oil, the raw material drop over 50%. 10 naira is just about 10%. Good try, but Nija can get a beta deal. In rewarding Nigerians for electing him as president, President Buhari opted to increase petrol pump price by 58.50 naira. The first justification of the increment was removal of subsidy. But Nigerians were later stunned when the vice president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, said pump price of petrol was increased because Nigeria was broke. In other words, President Buhari increased petrol pump price because the country was broke and it needed to shore up its revenue base. The 58.50 naira added to the previous pump price of 86.50 naira was an indirect tax imposed on each liter of petrol purchased by Nigerians. Simply put, the federal government is indirectly collecting 58.50 naira tax from suffering Nigerians on each liter of petrol they buy. Buhari is no doubt acting like the proverbial Agbalao Marai, Bail, Hontolo, a king that exploit his extremely poor subject to further enrich himself. It is on record that on May 2 this year, the federal government, in the Petroleum Product Pricing Regulatory Agency, PRAE, template released in Abuja, told Nigerians that it was subsidizing petrol at 12.62 naira per liter. In 2012, when the Drive Jonathan removed fuel subsidy and increased petrol price to 141 naira per liter, crude oil was selling at $111 per barrel. If not wickedness, how can petrol price be increased to 145 naira per liter when crude oil is now selling at $49 per barrel? Increasing petrol pump price by 58.50 naira when the federal government claimed it was subsidizing the product at 12.62 naira per liter is clear wickedness on the part of President Buhari. In the history of Nigeria, increase in price of petrol has never been as high as it was done by Buhari, putting Nigerians in severe hardship as the product affects every sector of the economy. Too bad, those who opposed removal of fuel subsidy in 2012 and funded the Occupy Nigeria protest are the ones canvassing support for this Buhari's wicked one-year anniversary gift to Nigerians. The labor unions are now completely cowed, dashing completely hope of the common people of Nigeria. Interestingly, this is not the first election promise by APC/Buhari that have been jettisoned since they got into office. The 5,000 naira unemployment benefits promised the downtrodden was derisively put down by this president as largesse, with the president spurning the emotional plea of his own wife to the contrary. To add salt and insult unto injury, he traveled abroad to make the statement. Despite the mindless and indefensible hike in fuel price, the commodity is still not available. Minister of State for Petroleum says there is no forex to pay for fuel import, yet there is forex to indulge Buhari's foreign trip profligacy. Presidential spin doctors and APC chieftains laboring to hoodwink the people speak glibly of how so-called deregulation will make products available, reduce cost through competition and the interplay of market forces, as well as encourage private sector to build more refineries. But thank God, who loves Nigerians so much, the lies of these people was by divine arrangement, I suppose, revealed by no less a person than the junior minister Ibe Kachikwu himself when he said importation of fuel continues till 2019. Nigerians should be reminded that the manner of hardship being faced now was also faced during Buhari's first coming as a military dictator, when people had to queue for essential commodities. Now, Nigerians can't even afford common tomato to prepare soup. So Nigerians, you have heard the truth. Under Buhari/APC, it is almost certain that our suffering will continue till 2019. Nigerians, remember I warned you before Buhari was elected. I have been warning you since Buhari became president, and I am warning now that if nothing is done urgently, the economy of Nigeria will collapse. Good one there from the governor. He is one of a kind. That was news from Nigeria Bulletin. And this is the kind of response he gets after such direct attack. Controversy. Stop attacking Buhari, says PDP stakeholders. Concerned PDP stakeholders have asked Governor Ayodele Fayose to refrain from attacking Buhari's policies. The group claims that by repeatedly condemning President Buhari, Fayose is mocking himself. The EFCC has also been asked to probe the governorship candidate of the PDP in Lagos State, Jimmy Agbaje. They say Agbaje must be probed over reported diversion of government funds for campaign purpose. Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose has been charged to bring to an abrupt end his attacks on President Muhammadu Buhari's policies. The warning was made by a group under the People's Democratic Party, PDP, known as the Concerned PDP Stakeholders, CPS. This was contained in a statement issued by its patron, Professor T. Akinyemi, where he noted that by repeatedly condemning President Buhari policies, Fayose was making mockery of himself because the president had good intentions for Nigeria. The group, however, noted it supported Fayose's views on what should be the position of old men within the PDP. The statement reads, "We would like Fayose to stop ridiculing himself in his efforts to attack Buhari. Buhari has good intentions and he is a man we all respect, irrespective of his political affiliation. Moreover, the office of the president deserves the respect of all Nigerians. God is the one who puts people in power." We condemn Fayose's unguided, repeated attacks on Buhari. It is better to keep shut if you have nothing to say. The group also demanded that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, probe the governorship candidate of the PDP in Lagos State, Jimmy Agbaje, over reported diversion of government funds for campaign purpose. The group called for the dissolution of the present Board of Trustees of the party, while positing that only Senator Bode Olajimoke was credible enough to lead Southwest PDP. Meanwhile, Chief Bode George, a former deputy national chairman of the PDP, has blasted Governor Fayose, describing him as an ingrate. In a recent interview, Fayose said that he would not support George to become the national chairman of the party. He also noted that all PDP elders should take the backstage in the party's affairs. Chief Bode George told me personally that he wanted to be the national chairman of the party. I told him no, that I won't support him. With all due respect to the elderly people in this party, they must take the backstage. People are tired seeing the same old faces again, Werner said. Speaking with The Punch on Monday, May 2nd, George said that Fayo's statement showed that he was an immature politician. According to him, PDP needs experienced and matured leaders to pilot its affairs. Stressing that age was not a barrier to good leadership, George held up as a model chief John Odigio Yun, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, who was older than him. The S. General, Akwanga, have said that their goal is to find ways in bringing the movement to having a united front. The idea is to consolidate a formidable force that will act as delegation to face all negotiations, both local and international. He also said that the issue of means of informations to the grassroots and beyond is one of the big problems to tackle, since the RBL has failed the people. In another note, he also emphasized on the issue of finance as another very important matter, as he reminds the Biafras that a house stability depends on its foundation, stating that a movement of freedom fighting sponsorship. Adding to this, Dr. Chikwuma Ijemba, one of the attendants to the conference and a longtime patron to the Biafra struggle, wrote, ABC 2016. As the countdown approaches, dedicated and uncompromising Biafrans have started to arrive in Accra for our historic conference opening on Friday. I am here now in Ghana and we update on progress. As the OEAS is doing for us what they did for Southern Sudan, it is hoped that the conference will increase the pace of our restoration efforts. He also cited, now that representatives of Biafra ethnic nations and pro-Biafra groups are on their way to Accra, Ghana for the above conference that will open on tomorrow the 27th. The exact venue will be communicated to delegates through the links now made open. If you love and support Biafra, make sure that your ethnic nation and group are represented. Biafra people are grateful to OEAS for making this conference a reality. See you all in Ghana. In Biafra, Africa will rise again. And now to other news. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja, on Wednesday 25th day of May 2016 dismissed the appeal that was logged before it by Nnamdi Kanu, David Nwauzi, and Benjamin Madiobugwu. News from Vanguard Newspapers stated from Abuja that the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja, on Wednesday, dismissed the appeal that was lodged before it by the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu. Kanu and two other pro-Biafra agitators, David Nwauzi and Benjamin Madiobugwu, had gone before the appellate court to challenge what they termed strange procedure adopted in their trial before the Federal High Court in Abuja. The trio, who are answering to a 6-count treason charge the federal government preferred against them, in their consolidated appeal, alleged bias against trial Justice John Saho, who not only declined to grant them bail, but also permitted the prosecution to shield the identity of 8 witnesses billed to testify in the matter. Justice Saho had equally rejected application praying him to discharge and acquit the 3 defendants in line with Section 351(1) of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, 2015. Meantime, in a unanimous judgment on Wednesday, a 3-man panel of justices of the appellate court led by Justice Abdul Aboki dismissed defendants' appeal as grossly lacking in merit. The appellate court further declined to order the release of the defendants on bail on the premise that allegations against them are grievous and serious. Justice Aboki, who read the lead judgment, said it was not in doubt the first defendant, Kanu, has dual citizenship. He said Kanu's possession of both Nigerian and British passports increased the likelihood that he could jump bail if released from detention. On the procedure adopted by the trial court, the appeal court panel maintained that Justice Saho had the discretion to decide how the proceeding should be conducted. The lower court has the power to exercise its discretion on the matter, and the exercise of such discretion by the trial judge did not amount to denial of fair hearing to the defendants. The issues are resolved against the appellants. Ruling of the trial court is hereby upheld, the appellate court held. Basically, Kanu and his CO defendants, through their lawyer Chief Chooks Muuma-san, argued before the appellate court that trial Justice Saho erred in law when having refused the application for the witnesses of the prosecution to testify behind screens, or masked, on February 19, 2016, suddenly varied the said order in the ruling delivered on March 7, 2016. On a mere oral application by the respondent. They maintained that the variation order was made on the basis of a mere oral application by the Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, Mohammed Diri, who had informed the trial court that witnesses scheduled to testify against the defendants said they would not appear unless they were allowed to wear masks or their identities shielded from both lawyers and people observing the proceeding. My lord, this is because they are already receiving threats from associates of the defendants that they will be dealt with. The witnesses said they love their lives and requested that their identities be shielded from people who are coming to witness the proceeding, Diri told the court. He said DSS operatives also billed to testify in the matter, made similar request on the basis that they are investigating terrorism cases and would not want their identities exposed. Following his application, Justice Saho gave an order permitting the witnesses to testify behind a screen, stressing that the decision did not amount to a variation of a previous ruling that prohibited the witnesses from appearing in mask. The three defendants had earlier opposed FG's application for secret trial, even as they queried the propriety of the court allowing masquerades to testify against them. Though Justice Saho maintained that the subsequent order he made in respect of the trial was in tandem with his ruling on February 9 that rejected secret trial of the defendants, the defense lawyer, Muuma-san, yesterday, urged the appellate court to set aside the revised order for the identities of the witnesses to be protected. Muuma-san argued that the trial court had become functus officio on the matter, having earlier ruled on the previous application by the prosecution. It was his argument that FG ought to have appealed against the initial ruling instead of reapproaching the same court with a similar application. He prayed the appellate court to direct the chief judge of the Federal High Court to transfer their case file to another judge for trial. Nevertheless, FG, in a counter-affidavit it filed before the appellate court, sought the dismissal of the appeal which it said lacked merit. The DPP argued that the March 7 order of the High Court did not amount to a variation of the February 9 ruling. FG stated that Kanu and the others were never denied fair hearing by Justice Saho to warrant reassignment of the case file to another judge. It opposed their request to be released on bail. Besides, FG accused the defendants of attempting to use frivolous interlocutory appeals to delay their trial. Kanu, who was hitherto the director of Radio Biafra and television, has been in detention since October 14, 2015, when he was arrested by security operatives upon his arrival to Nigeria from his base in the United Kingdom. The defendants were alleged to have committed treasonable felony, an offense punishable under Section 41(c) of the Criminal Code Act C-38 laws of the Federation of Nigeria. FG alleged that they were the ones managing the affairs of the POB, which it described as an unlawful society. Kanu was alleged to have illegally smuggled radio transmitters into Nigeria, which he used to disseminate hate broadcasts, encouraging the secession Republic of Biafra from Nigeria. The accused persons, however, pleaded not guilty to the charge on January 20, even as the court ordered their remand at Kuje prison in Abuja. Another news from Vanguard. Tension in Niger Delta as ultimatum to Danjuma, Atiku, others expires today. Worry: there is anxiety in the Niger Delta as the 2-week ultimatum given owners of oil blocks in the region by Niger Delta Avengers to evacuate their staff and shut down operations ends today, while secret talks with the militant group have run into a hitch. The militant group, in a statement by its spokesperson, Col Murdoch Agbanaibo, on May 12, gave the former Minister of Defense, General Theophilus Danjuma, RETD, former Vice President, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and other declared oil block owners 2 weeks to shut down operations or have themselves to blame. Meanwhile, alleged talks between the federal government and an intermediary of Niger Delta Avengers on how to end hostilities in the region by the militant group have collapsed, while security agencies have allegedly included plans to infiltrate the meeting of Ajah youths today in Warri to take a collective position on the Niger Delta Avengers. A security source told our reporter, all security operatives in the country are currently on their toes following security reports that the Niger Delta Avengers has promised to resume hostilities after the expiration of its 2-week ultimatum. Niger Avengers not be this came as the people of Igbima ethnic nationality in Warri nor government of Delta State have refuted media reports that the militant group, Niger Delta Avengers, has its base in Igbima Kingdom, saying there was no iota of truth in the said publication. Igbima people, in a statement by Jude Yukari, yesterday, said whoever said the base of the Niger Delta Avengers was in Igbima Kingdom should identify the location. He noted that despite the fact that they were not getting benefits politically and economically from successive government as a major oil-producing kingdom, they will never resort to unlawful acts. According to him, the author of the story could have at least mentioned one of the communities in Igbima Kingdom where such a base was situated. Since he failed to mention any, the publication was a wild allegation generated by criminals and mischievous persons in an attempt to drag the good name of Igbima people to the mud. Also, Niger Delta Peace Movement in Delta State, has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to disregard the accusation by self-acclaimed whistleblowers that ex-militant leader, Government Ekpe Mapolo, alias Tom Polo, was behind the Niger Delta Avengers and explore a pragmatic solution to develop Niger Delta. Buhari being misinformed. A statement by its president, Mr. Tonfa Cyprian, said, "These informants are misinforming Mr. President out of hatred for Tom Polo and their bid to curry favor from him for their personal aggrandizement. But Mr. President can end the resurgence of militancy if he makes development of the region his priority." From careful observation of the pattern of attack by the militants on oil installations, it is obvious that it will be very difficult to contain their operations with force because they are very conversant with the terrain. The weapon to use is not force but development. The next news is on some of the problems facing the Biafra struggle. Here are some of the war of words between Radio Biafra operators, London, and the owner of AGM, New York. Emma Ikagu is not going away anytime soon. Emma Ikagu, whose organization carried out a 6-month investigation on the activities of Radio Biafra, London, is accusing them of lying and deceit, thereby defrauding thousands of innocent people of southeastern Nigeria, both home and overseas, of millions of pounds. On his Facebook fan page, Emma Ikagu has this to say: "Dear Radio Biafra operators /IPOB Ltd. Let us have an open debate if you think my organization's impending reports on you is false. A preview of our report says, Radio Biafra /IPOB Ltd are two rogue groups, defrauding thousands of innocent Igbo men and women using Biafra. It is one thing to deceive our people daily and call those of us who speak out anti-Biafra agitators. Buhari bought over House of Fulani slaves and APC members. Be honest for once to afford your audience a lifetime opportunity to hear from the other side. If you had heeded to my private calls, the public would not be reading that Emma Ikagu and Radio Biafra are having issues. You were the ones that drew the first blood when you went on air with my name, accusing me falsely. Today, my organization will stop at nothing until the public know why you wage a vicious war of character destruction against decent Igbo sons and daughters who had approached you privately in the past to tell you to come out clean. I know your brainwashing charms had done irreparable damage to many of our people. Nowadays, these innocent people see nothing or hear no voice of reasoning. It may take another generation to undo the damage you have done to their lives. I would be pleased to meet you either in person or on the radio. It doesn't matter what station it is. It could be your Radio Biafra or African World Service. Remember your coordinator of coordinators, Clifford Iroanya, once told the world, and I quote, "Nobody can buy Emma Ikagu." If you want to hear the truth, listen to African FM. You have 24 hours to send me a reply or else I will publish your phone numbers on Wednesday, the 25th of May, 2016, to urge your followers to call you. I have been inundated with all your false accusations of my person and your attempt to run me down to cover up the truth. Accept this challenge and once for all, Biafrans will know who's telling them the truth. Sincerely, Emma Ikagu, President/CEO, AGM, LLC/Internet Crime Busters. 917-680-6000, 1500 Hillside Avenue, Queens, New York. It remains to be seen if the operators will accept Emma Ikagu's invitation. Let's hope the Biafra people will pass trough such weaknesses to find ways in helping one another. Do not forget, our job is to take the Biafra struggle to the world, meet with individual, NGO, organizations and nations that matters. We expect that after the OEAS, All Biafra Conference in Ghana, the Moving News Network will help in uplifting the course of Biafra freedom, through our media outlet and to other sister network around the world. And with that, we come to the end of this morning's edition. See you next time.